Hi Houston, it is Tuesday. I'm KHOU 11 meteorologist Kim Castro, and thank you for joining us for a 10-minute weather update. We're going to be talking Saharan dust. We'll be talking about storm chances this afternoon, the inevitable and unavoidable heat, and the 4th of July forecast if you're staying locally or if you were planning to travel. Live look outside, well, we've got a mixed bag. Plenty of haze over Galveston Pleasure Pier this afternoon, sitting at 88 degrees. If you are headed to Hobby Airport catching a flight, everything is running smoothly. Just a couple of fair weather clouds for now. I think we will see a couple of bubbling storms a little later on this afternoon though. But if you're stepping outside to enjoy a nice little stroll at Herman Park, this is our camera from Hotel Zaza looking out towards the Med Center. It is a pretty view. We're seeing a nice sunny sky. A little bit of cloud cover later on today will transition into a chance for some downpours. Did you get caught in some of the downpours yesterday? Right around 7 o'clock, I was by River Oaks and those clouds darkened in a hurry. And those storms were loud. So we can expect much of the same today. Time frame to watch is going to be 3 to 6, maybe pushing all the way to 7. What we can expect are some of these cells that dump down some of those tropical raindrops, which are big and heavy. So that will lead to reduced visibility, and we will have to track some lightning strikes as well. So once we do start to see the storms bubble up, that's the time to head inside. You do not want to be running outside when there is lightning. 7 o'clock, that's when things start to wind down, and then we're quiet again for your Tuesday evening. Okay, it's also tough running weather because of the heat and the humidity. Temperatures upper 80s to low 90s, but about 10 or so degrees hotter than the actual air temperature for the feels like value. So Sugar Land 89 feels like 100, and Galveston 88 feels like 101. If you're a Hobby, 89 feels like 96. We actually will get to the 95-96 range for actual high temperatures this afternoon. That's going to be felt right around 4 o'clock, and remember, when we get that brief downpour, you will feel some rain-cooled air. So once we get the showers, we'll momentarily dip down into the 80s, but all in all, the trend is going to be 90s and hot for this afternoon. While we're not tracking any rain on radar just yet, it's pretty active for the Lone Star State, especially the further south that you go. Check out Brownsville has been seeing repeated rounds of some heavy downpours throughout the morning and now the early afternoon. Notice this particular storm has a special weather statement because there's not just heavy rain, but there's some wind associated with that. Gusts at 40 miles an hour, no hail to watch, but definitely a little bit of energy. Where is it coming from? Well, it's actually coming from this remnant low. If you remember this weekend, we actually had Tropical Storm Barry briefly form before it interacted with land and fell apart, but the remnants of that moisture is what's slinging into South Texas. Eventually we'll get some impulses of a sea breeze. I don't think Barry's moisture is gonna make it all the way up here, but it's something to watch. There's still plenty of moisture for South Texas, even though we have that drying Saharan dust on top of us. But that's the big weather story for us. Now you'll notice there's a big focal point for Florida. So if you were planning to travel to Florida for this weekend's festivities, 4th of July celebrations, just know that there's a good chance you're going to get some interruptions with at least thunderstorm activity, and a 30% chance that some of that could get organized and become the third named storm of the season, which would be Chantal. Now, a couple different factors at play here. There's going to be a trough that moves through Florida, and then if it starts to stall out here, get some spin and organization, becomes a warm core, then that's when it would get a tropical designation. Regardless though, thunderstorm activity is expected there. And in another spot too. So you'll notice that's the moisture from Barry that I was talking about pushing into South Texas. And on the Pacific side, there's Hurricane Flossie, which now has 100-mile-an-hour wind speed sustained, and it is a Cat 2 hurricane. Moving northwest at 10 miles an hour, which is important because since it's taking that turn, it's not going directly north. It's actually going to glide along the coastline. It will bring disruptions to travel plans in Puerto Vallarta. It will bring disruptions to travel plans in Cabo because of the outer rain bands. So that will be slung. That moisture is going to be slinging along the coastline of Mexico, but the brunt of the force, the hurricane or tropical storm force winds, not going to be much of an impact because of that northwest trajectory. So notice the probability of 39-mile-an-hour winds or greater for Puerto Vallarta, anywhere between 10 to maybe 30%. It's about the same thing for Cabo. Most of the energy from Flossie is going to stay offshore, which is a good thing. So yeah, maybe not the prettiest beach forecast, but also not the most destructive for folks that are traveling along the west coast of Mexico. So that's good. For us, our tropical impacts are going to be the Saharan dust. So we've been seeing that and warning about that throughout the weekend and into yesterday. We'll continue to track some of that through today, tomorrow, and into Thursday. In fact, I think it's giving me a little bit of a scratchy throat myself. So if you're wondering, what's in the air, it's not the cleanest. And I will be tracking the potential of some of that dust sinking down to the ground level. I think it already is, but it's not affecting air quality as of yet. It is in the yellow moderate category. Once we start to get to that orange sensitive groups category, that's when we might see an air quality alert issued. And at that point, we would advise that you limit your outdoor exposure and certainly limit outdoor activity because again, heavy breathing outside is not the best. But for now, it's a-okay. You'll notice air quality is good across the Lone Star State too. Now, the combination of Saharan dust with high pressure, that is what could bring us some more mixing of dust and ground level ozone, et cetera, which again is something to monitor with air quality. But of course, high pressure, you know what that brings. I mean, the colors kind of speak for itself, right? It's this big heat dome that's on top of us. So that is why temperatures are going to continue to build. I mean, they did for the month of June. This is your month in review. Out of the 30 days of the month, we had 23 of them that were above average. We had 2 average days, seasonal temperatures at 93 for this time of year. And then we also had a couple days where we actually didn't even make it out of the 80s. And that's because we had some stormy days in the month of June, which is typical. Actually, June is a really rainy month historically for Houston. So when we get the rain cooled air. So are we going to be tracking any rain for us the next 3 days? Yes. We've got some pockets of downpours, but it's not going to be widespread by any means. So 10 to 20%, but don't sleep on that. That one cell over your particular area could definitely, delay you. And it's going to be something that you want to be mindful of. We'll be watching on radar, and if we see something pop up in your neighborhood, we'll warn you about it. Just make sure you've got the KHOU app downloaded. Temperature-wise, we're going to be in the mid-90s today. Like I mentioned, a high of 95, and then pushing all the way into the upper 90s by Thursday. How about Friday? 98 degrees at this point, getting closer to the triple digits. Of course, the feels like value is already in the triple digits right now. By Friday, it's going to get closer to 108. I don't think we'll have a heat advisory, but stay tuned. Luckily, I think rain chances really drop off for a Friday, so you won't have to be worried about pool days or beach days. By the way, today's a good beach day. 2 to 3 foot waves in Galveston, the breeze out of the southeast, 15 miles an hour, and Bathwater, temperature 84. Moderate rip current risk, so not something that would, get you out of the water. If there's a high rip current risk, I would definitely advise against going in the water. 7-day forecast looks like this. Okay, so we talked about these next 3 days. Temperatures are climbing, rain chances are dropping off Friday into Saturday, and that's when I think we're going to get the hottest temperatures for the next 7 days. And then you'll notice into the end of the weekend and the start of the new week, we've got a regular summer pattern. So what that means in Houston, if you are new to the area, it just means high heat, high humidity, and a chance for some isolated or scattered storms in the afternoon. We just get the sea breeze that lifts up all the energy, and it does bring us a couple of downpours. But you know how the weather is here in Houston. It's raining one second, the next the sun is back, and then the clouds are back, it's raining again, and the sun's back, so on and so forth. So pretty run-of-the-mill pattern for us, nothing too excessive in terms of the amount of rainfall accumulation. I'll keep a close eye on Friday though. If I do start to see a rain chance pop up in the afternoon, I will have to warn you about it, but so far I'm keeping it out of the forecast. Okay, have a great Tuesday. I'll see you back here tomorrow.